She's making the little, like, cat hand motion to show us.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to say something exciting and fun I can use at the beginning of the episode.
Don't be silly.
He, like, handed me this, like, stupid scarf.
Hi, we're the Reading Queens, and we're here to blab about our favorite books, why we love them, and the book boyfriends we wish were real. I'm so excited to be back with these ladies, and I'm ready for some fun times. I'm Valia.
I'm Kay.
I'm Hanna.
And I'm Tess.
Yes, and we're here ready to party.
Tess is a little more ready to party than the rest of us, it sounds
She had her second cup of tea.
I did. I had matcha and coffee today. So, and like when I say I had coffee, I literally had like the tiniest bit. Like, do you guys know the size of a regular Coke can? Like, obviously you do. It takes me.
What is a Coke?
No,
I've
that's
never
4
seen
servings of like a cold brew coffee that's made for normal people. For me, that's like 4 servings. And so I've like had this tiny little cup of coffee every day, and I finally finished it today, and it was like the tiniest amount, but it works for me.
That sounds very cost effective.
I can't drink more than that. I get wild, and I'm already wild enough, you guys.
Yeah, it's true.
That's how I drink cider. I drink like a half a can of cider a day and like fill it up the rest of the way with sparkling water because I can only drink half a can of cider.
Are we talking like just like sweet cider? Or are you talking about the hard
we're
cider?
talking the alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Cider.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes,
I was like, is it just the sugar? You just-
It is also the sugar. That's why I
Yeah.
don't just drink half a can, but I split it with it actually tastes really good because then it's not super sweet and it's refreshing, and I don't get the need to take a nap after one tiny can of cider, so it works out for me.
Well, that makes sense.
I mean, I drink like regular cup of coffee, and then I just drink water for the rest of the day. It's like my hydration.
Well, I just drink water, you guys. I'm too boring for the world, okay?
You don't drink coffee or tea in the morning? You drink water in the morning and then water.
Always. And you want to hear something that's maybe embarrassing? I don't know. Maybe people will think this is weird. So I I get really cold all the time, especially in the winter. I get so cold in the winter. And I have realized there's like a very strong correlation between me drinking water and me being cold. And I already don't drink cold water, okay? I only drink room temperature water. That is like my favorite. I know, I am aware
I love
this
room
is weird.
temperature water.
So this winter, when I would get really, really cold, I would just drink hot water. I'm like, is this weird? Do I need to put flavor in it? This is weird, right? You can't just drink hot water. But so I first did like lemon, added some lemon, and I'm like, I don't want this. I just want water. so I made it hot, and I just drink it plain hot water. It was good.
Like, have you tried tea?
Yeah, but I like water. Nothing refreshes, nothing like quenches my thirst the way water does. Every other drink, like I have other drinks sometimes, but they're all just like, it's like dessert or part of my meal. It's not like a drink. Like for a drink, I just want water, you know?
I do drink a lot of water, I want to point out. I'm not like poo-pooing water as a drink.
She's like, ew, water.
Ew. I will say ew to like room temperature water.
I love room temperature water. It feels better
And
on my stomach.
Oh, I know everyone says it's better for you.
If I'm like sweaty and I like just got back from a run, which I literally never ever do ever, that's like the one time that I want like ice cold water.
I
that like never
like
happens,
ice
so.
cold water. I'm always like, I have to take like the tiniest sips of it. Otherwise, I just can't. I like room temperature water. It's good stuff.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm in Arizona, so like I need ice cold water because
Just to maintain your body temperature.
Yes. It's funny though, during the summer, like our pool, I think the last time we swam, our pool was like 96 degrees. It's like bath water. My mom is just like, this is the best. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like pour some ice cold water on me right now because it's like not helping. I mean, it's nice because the temperatures have been like in 120s and stuff. So that's actually like a big enough difference that when you do get in the pool, you're like, oh, it's a little cool. But like when I say that to somebody, they're like, what?
It's like, what's your body temperature? Isn't that like warmer than...
Yeah, that's like
I'm
basically
not a
your
doctor, I
body.
don't remember.
I think your body temperature is like the 96.9 is like the standard or something like that. So
yeah.
it's like literally at your body temperature.
Ew.
Yeah.
You get out and drink some room temperature water. It's
Ew, no.
sounds terrible.
I hate room temperature water, all right? I'm not the only one who likes it. It's uncommon.
No, I know people who do that as well. Like they don't like ice. Like I have friends who will never drink ice with their water, and I'm like, you do you. I'm just gonna be over here. Give me all the ice. We're good.
I like my water has to have sat in the fridge for an hour before I want to drink it.
Yeah, if you don't have ice, it's
I don't
true.
know. Dear listeners, please tell us on Instagram at what temperature you prefer your water, because I had no idea what a divisive topic this was going to turn out to be. That's hilarious.
I know.
I think we actually talked about this on another episode also. Yes.
Yes.
Did you?
Yes,
I must not have heard it. Yeah, that's funny.
Because it is uncommon for people to like room temperature water. I think it was Joanna's husband who likes it room temperature, and I was like, yes.
Oh.
So nobody on the episode.
Except me. Hey, but
there's a
Tess
person out
also
there.
likes
Yeah.
it, so we're good now.
Yeah, I like room
Sure,
temperature
you're not
water.
alone.
We keep our water filter on the counter, and I'm so glad that me and my husband get along on that point, because I mean, I can tolerate fridge water. It's fine. It's not like I dislike it, but especially since like I'm like, hey, I'm always cold, and so like if I get up in the morning and I drink like a glass of cold water, that's like torture.
Yeah, agreed.
Torture. I warm up my water when I brush my teeth. Like I will not rinse out my mouth with cold water.
I love it.
My husband thinks I'm so weird. Like he turns the faucet on freezing cold. I'm like, it flames my mouth with coldness because it reacts with the like minty freshness of the toothpaste.
That is
and
true.
I hate
That
it.
makes sense.
I hate it
though.
so much.
I mean, I just use it from the tap. I don't like use icy cold water for brushing my teeth.
I like specifically wait to warm it up. I'll like do the cat paws at the tap until it feels warm enough. Yeah,
She's
and then I'm
making
like,
the little
okay.
like cat hand.
Yeah, because I like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know why I can't just like run my hand under it like a normal person, but I'm like, I got like tap at it until I feel like it's warm.
If it's really hot, you would burn yourself. So
Yeah,
you're
see,
just
maybe
being
it's like,
protective.
maybe it's a defensive thing. Maybe it's not, then I'm just like weird.
You can just be in Arizona where no matter what tap you churn right now, cold or hot, it's just hot. It just comes out hot. My cat really loves to drink from the sink when I'm like getting ready in my bathroom in the mornings, and she'll just come and sit there and stare at me until I turn the water on for her. And I noticed the other day she would like put her little face into it, and she will take like 2 or 3 licks, and then she just kind of leans back and looks at me, and I'm like, what?
She's like, what'd you
And so I
do to
put my
this?
and I put my hand there, and it was just warm. It was
Oh,
coming out
no.
warm, and it was like full on cold, and I'm like, you poor thing, I'm sorry. So we had
So
to like
your
let
cat
it run.
does not agree with Kay.
No, she likes cold water.
Okay, I will say I do like water better room temperature than warm, but it was nice in this winter when I was cold, and it did help warm me up, the warm water. So
And see, in the winter, I still, like, I love smoothies, and I drink smoothies year round. My entire family, I make them drink them too, because I'm like, this is your fruit and vegetable for breakfast. And they're like, it's so cold. And I just, like, alternate tea and smoothie. And I'm like, now I'm perfectly temperature controlled. It's fine.
Oh, that's funny. See, I wake up in the mornings, and I'm usually cold when I wake up because, you know, we keep our AC so high during the summer especially. And so, like, I can't sleep if I'm hot. So
Neither
it's
can
nice
I.
to have, So when I wake up, I'm like, I need a cold glass of water because if I have anything warm, like sometimes if I have like water by bedside and I take a sip of that, I'm like, oh, no. So I'm like beeline for the bathroom, like, give me cold water. But it's like a weird thing. I think it's just because I'm just hot in general. But
Yeah, you are.
Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. No. Yeah, like it's just like fun thing that is my thing, because like my mom she in the morning she'll drink like not a warm, but like a lukewarm temperature water, and I'm like, nope, still need my ice. She's like, you're weird. I'm like, I know, it's fine. Don't worry about
I
it.
validate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah, that was a nice
That's a topic we didn't know we were having.
yeah, we're just like, I didn't write anything for an opening topic. We just went with it. Which I love. But yeah, I do have a question of the day for you guys, because obviously this is the episode where we do those, and I love these because they're so fun, okay? Anyway, so it's a kind of a 3-part question, as you know, because I told you in advance because I'm nice like that. But what is the most beautiful book you own? That's the one we're starting with. And then what is your favorite book you own? And then does it have a special meaning? So we're just going to go around the room and talk about these books. So Kay, what is the most beautiful you own?
I'm first.
You are.
Okay. Okay, so the most beautiful book I own, I had to like stare at my bookshelf a little bit. And it's funny because the first ones that I saw, the Red Queen book cover is still just like one of my absolute favorites. I just think those covers are so beautiful. And then also Serpent and Dove, that one is also just a cover I love. And Ash Princess, which, I mean, no surprise that I like Ash Princess so much because it's very similar to the Red Queen cover. A lot of kind of similar elements. So, anyway, so those are just kind of some generic book covers that I love. But the most beautiful book cover I own, it's, if we're talking about the way that it looks and then also the meaning behind it, I have this Hans Christian Andersen's Complete Fairy Tales. And it's just like this special edition cover that is like light blue and has these beautiful foil illustrations, or it has like the metallic, and then the pages also have like gold foil on the edges. Ooh. So it's just this really pretty book, and my husband bought it for me because it was early on in my writing career, and he knew how much I love fairy tales, and he's like, so when you do fairy tale retelling someday, which I'll do someday, we all know this, because I'm obsessed with fairy tale retellings. Anyway, he bought it, for like research. So I just really love it. That's just one of the like most special books on my shelf.
I have that book too.
I
do.
Oh, yay!
I love it. I had my in-laws bought it for me because I asked for it. It was like on my list of books for Christmas one year. And my tragedy is that I was flipping through it and it was brand new, and my youngest was about 2, and she walked up and just like ripped an end paper out. It's got like those pretty seashell end paper. So lucky it wasn't like a mid paper, but I was still like, this was a gorgeous, pristine, like leather, embossed, beautiful cover and everything. And I just kind of stuck it back in.
What else can you do in that situation? Right?
So yours is probably slightly more beautiful than mine. But I use it a lot for photos because it's so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
I have a lot of Hans Christian Andersen books, honestly.
Oh, I wonder why.
I know. I don't like fairy tales at all. There's many beautiful collections of Hans Christian Andersen specifically that I think I have like 5 of them.
Yeah, that's true. I think my dad has. So my dad started collecting the leather-bound edition, but I like don't remember which ones it was, like which leather-bound collection that it was. And I'm pretty sure he has one by him that I really, really like. Like those books just look nice. And my dad's shelves are like a deep brown. So like his office is very like that manly cave, old time, like old library type. And his are also higher than mine too. They go pretty much all the way to the ceiling, and they're all around the whole office. So anytime I walk in there, it's just like I'm surrounded by books. And he has this one little shelf where it's a glass, has a glass door, and that's where all his pretty editions are at. And it just cool. Looks so fancy.
Library goals.
Yeah, I know, right? But I'm pretty sure he has like a one of my for the fairy tales there for sure. I just need to look to see.
They're just such classics still, even after all these years. It's like you always want a classic fairy tale book on your shelf, I feel like.
And there's so many pretty illustrated versions. And
true.
Yep, and we like our illustrations. So.
We do.
Do you want me to answer all of the questions, or are we going to let everyone answer the first question first and then go?
Oh, I don't know. What do you think? Should we just do one at a time?
One question at a time.
So Hannah, what is the most beautiful book you own?
Now we're splitting it up, and I'm like, my most beautiful books are my favorite books.
Okay.
Okay, no,
you can answer all the questions.
I'll save one of them, but I have to tell you, it is also beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, I have a lot of beautiful books. Not to be braggy, it's just how I buy books. And I'm an artist, so I have a lot of art books. So one of mine is my favorite art book, And I'm just seeing if it actually has a title beyond being like a Leyendecker art book. It is called J.C. Leyendecker. If you don't know who Leyendecker is, because you're not an art nerd like me, you should look him up. Because he is stinking amazing. Well, I mean, he was. He's dead. But this book... Okay, when I was a kid, back in the day, I was born in 81, for those of you who need a frame of reference here. Like, do you guys remember that when art books were lame? When, like, it would be, like, there'd be black and white all throughout, and then in the middle there would be, like, 6 color plates.
Oh, yeah.
Of, like, the colored pages, and the whole rest was black and white, and even the color plates weren't, like, that good.
Okay.
So, at some point, history lesson, I don't know, remember when, but printing completely changed, and it's now really affordable to print color books, right? And people like them, so they do them. So it's just been so great for me as an adult to be able to collect, like, this book is a couple hundred pages, and every page is like this beautiful illustration, and they're perfectly printed, and it's so good. All the old art books got thrown out at some point, I think, because we were all like, these are lame, they don't even have any color, they're like, it's terrible. I'm trying to, like, stay close to my microphone while picking up my books so I can look at them. Okay, another one. I'll just give you a small sampling. Is Language of Thorns by Leah Bardugo. And this one is pretty for multiple reasons. It has a nice cover, and the dust jacket is, like, I don't know, it's like different kind of paper. It's like that thick kind of textured paper. And then it's all embossed underneath and gorgeous because she has the best spines of, like, anybody right now, I think. And then inside it's color illustrated, and it's a collection of, she, like, retold fairy tales. So some of them are fairy tales you would recognize, some of them I don't recognize at all, and I don't know if she made them up, I don't know. But they're all kind of, like, set then in her world. And each one has this border around it, and as you flip the pages through the story, the border grows more and more detailed as the story goes on, until at the end it's like this big illustration surrounding the text, and then each one has a full illustration in it as well. So
that's so
gorgeous.
Cool.
It's so cool. It's like, I wish I had thought of that. It is my goal, by the way, to have the prettiest books and to have people put them on their, you know, shelf and be like, this is the prettiest book I own. I'm working on my hardcover right now, and I'm like, more pretty. Like, all this stuff in it. So I'm always looking at these and being like, could I do that? I cannot do full color, though, because for us, it is expensive still. And then my last one, I only have one of Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight archive books in hardback because I got it used. It's actually in kind of rough shape. But it's still gorgeous. And these books, like, if you get a chance, I have to read them in ebook because they're so thick. They're so heavy that it hurts my wrists. Or else you, like, try and read on your side and, like, the book, like, half the book falls in your head. Like, concussion. I read in bed. So this is the only one, and I didn't, my husband saw me buy it because he's read them too. He's like, but we already own the ebook. Why on earth would you want to read that in print? It's so big. And I was like, it's not for reading. What are you thinking? It's for looking at.
Don't be silly.
What do you take me for? I'm not going to read this.
It's a book. You don't read it.
So you can hold it in your hands and look at how pretty it is. So these books, they have, like, the covers are gorgeous. They're by Michael Whelan, who's one of the, like, foremost cover designers for fantasy for forever. When I was a kid, my parents read lots of Anne McCaffrey, and then I did too when I was old enough. And I remember just, like, finding their books lying around and just, like, staring at the covers because I love them so much. This is what nerdy art children are like. It's just, we're little. I was like, it's so pretty. I bet the book is so amazing. So he did the covers. And then they have end papers, and the 2 end papers, well, there's, like, 4 paintings for each end paper. So Howard Lyon, you guys don't even know what I'm talking about, did 2 of them, and Dan Dos Santos did the other 2. And Dan Dos Santos is one of my favorite cover designers in the world. And I was like, and he's doing just, like, the end papers. It's not even the cover.
They're so pretty, though, those end papers.
They're so pretty. And then inside, like, one of the characters, Shallon, is a artist, and she's sketching all the time, and then her sketches are all in the book, which in this one is especially interesting because she's going kind of crazy, and her like sketches get like weirder and darker as it goes. And then there's like in-world Inferior in them and all this like ridiculous awesomeness. And I'll stop now because I could talk for a really long time about
Okay.
these books.
Fine. I will buy this book. Okay.
Oh my goodness. They're so pretty.
That's
but you
cool.
should read it as an ebook because it really is very heavy.
Well, yeah.
In Gemina and Obsidio from the Illuminae series, they do the same thing. The
Inferior,
character is an artist. And yeah, she has like sketches in the books, which I thought was really cool. I think I am not an artist. I am terrible with art. So I still appreciate it, but I feel like I don't appreciate it as much as I should, maybe. I don't know. It was cool though. It was cool that they had just like the character's interpretation of what was going on and just how she was feeling and stuff. I thought that was a really cool way to just
I love it.
Make it put more depth in there.
I love it. Like I feel like it's when publishers, or in our case like people who self-publish, like it's like takes it to another level of like storytelling, and that's what I'm hoping. The book I'm drafting right now is a Cinderella book, and my main character is a fashion designer, and I'm hoping to include little like fashion sketches and stuff that you're doing.
Oh, cool.
So I've decided if they'll be like mixed in, or I might have like at the end a little like Ella's sketchbook section or something.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, that's cute.
I'm thinking
So
about it as I
cool.
go because it seems fun.
For anyone who hasn't read Hannah's books, her books all have illustrations in them that she has done, and it totally enhances the experience. It's so cool to just see these illustrations of the books. I love it.
Yeah, when I showed it to my mom, she was like, "Oh my gosh, that is amazing." I was like, "Yeah, this is Hannah's work." Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I had this moment because I've been an illustrator for a lot longer than I've been a writer. And I remember I was writing, and my mom is also an author. And one time I called her up and I was like, I just realized I can illustrate these. I was like, I'm self-published. No one can tell me that I can't put pictures in it. And she was like, yes. I'm like, I'm going to do it.
You're like, this was a big deal. People are excited about my release.
Never mind. It'll take me twice as long to put my books out. They're going to be so pretty.
That's funny.
Yeah. So The Rose Gate by Hanna Sandvig.
Oh, coming out.
Get it. And then
Hopefully.
admired the illustration.
Hopefully by the time this comes out, my hardback will be out, and my
Ooh,
hardback
yeah.
is going to be even prettier.
Ooh, I'm excited about
Yeah,
that.
me
Watch for
too.
that.
I'm just gonna have like the Rose Gate of like in every possible
Every edition.
All the
all the
versions.
versions. So it's just gonna be a whole like have a shelf with it.
It's like,
Yeah, that reminds me of Valia's The Skazka Chronicles hardback. That one is amazing.
Yeah, you
also
need to buy
so
that one. It looks so
beautiful.
pretty.
Yeah, that one is
Has
super
this
pretty.
cool
I have
map
to
in
say,
it.
It does have a cool
Yeah.
map in it.
oh yeah, illustrated by
Yes.
Hannah. That's why we're all laughing.
My shameless self-plug. It's so pretty, though, and I love that you have the character art underneath the dust jacket.
I love that too.
Yes.
It's so pretty.
Yeah. That was something that I was like super excited that we can do, because I did get new covers from last year, obviously, and when I was putting together the hardcover, I was like, oh, like I don't have time to draw anything because I wanted to be cool like Tess. But I'm like, I'm not that cool because like I'm not there yet, you know? And then when I was thinking about it, I was like, maybe I can just have her do, because the third cover in the paperbacks is my favorite. And so I was like, maybe we can have like Callista underneath the jacket. And when I told her that, she's like, oh yeah, no problem, I'll do it. I was like, what?
super
I was
easy.
like nervous to ask. And she's like, no, it's fine. Yeah, and then when I got it, I was just like, this is the best thing in the world. But anyway.
It's so cool that we can do that now. Have,
Yes.
like, art under the covers.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
you
too.
do, because yours is pretty, too.
Yeah,
We're just
I
going to go
mean,
around and talk about our pretty books now.
Yeah, sorry.
I
do
do like having
Sorry.
my art under the cover thing, and it has now become like an obsession. So now every single one of my books in my Entangled with Faith series has to have character art. And unlike Hannah, I have not been a book illustrator longer than I've been a writer. I've been an artist my whole life, but I have never ever thought that I was going to illustrate anything of my own books, except for just maybe for fun on a special edition. But now that I've committed to it, I like have to do it all the time, and so now the pressure is
And she's doing her covers now.
I'm doing the covers, I'm doing the
I'm
character art, and
I
it's
love it.
like it's scary, but you guys have been really supportive, and my readers have been really supportive. So I'm like,
It's easy to be supportive because it looks amazing.
Exactly.
So just saying.
Yeah, I love that. I love that we have like that thing that I don't know, we can make our books more special and, more personal to us, really,
And readers
because we
love
do
that.
self-publish. Yeah, and we have a little bit more leeway with that, and I don't know, it's just fun. I love it.
Yep.
Anyway, anyway, okay, Tess, you want to talk about a beautiful book that you own?
Yeah, so the most beautiful book that I own, I technically, I guess I own it because I bought it for my husband, selfishly because I really wanted it, but it's a book that we both read and we both loved, and it's The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and it's like the anniversary edition. I can't remember like what, 10th anniversary edition, and it's so pretty. So the cover is like pretty different from the other ones, and so I like immediately like the cover, but that's like not my favorite part. My favorite part is, first, I noticed that it had red sprayed edges, and this is the only book that I have that has sprayed edges. I see all these people with their cool sprayed edge books, and I don't have that except for this one. And this one has illustrations, and they're really cool. They're interspersed throughout. But yeah, I really loved this book, and so did my husband, so I bought it for him so that I could have it, and it served me pretty well.
Does it also have a cool, like, the dust jacket is cool, but does it also have like a cool thing under?
Let's
the
find
dust
out.
jacket?
I don't remember.
Oh
No, it does
Well,
not
I'll
really.
find out
It's
too.
just plain black, but it looks nice, and it says Valaritas, which I have no recollection of the significance of that. I bet it has
sure it's
to
very
do.
meaningful, though.
Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've read this book, and it's not one of those books that I'm like dying to read again just because it is really long. It was really good though. I loved it. It's like, I'm also just sad that like the third book's probably never gonna come out, so I'm just like, you know what?
Yes, I'm still in the fact that you said it's a 10th year, like 10th
Isn't that crazy?
edition. Yes,
10
I'm
years
like,
since this
it's
book
been
came
that
out.
long. Yes, I'm like, we're never getting book 3 at this point.
Yeah.
But holy
At least
crap,
the
I did
first
not
book
know it was 10
so
years.
good. It's one of those ones where like, yeah, it does. You can tell the story is still going, but it's like he's a really good writer. He, especially like when he wrote about music, like as a musician myself, like I appreciated the way he described music. It just like gave me the feels, and so it's a book that like is really like you can experience it. It's not like I feel like I can read it without being like so stressed out that I have no idea how it's gonna end. It's just a good book. Where some other books, like if you know you're never gonna get the ending, you're like, I don't even know if I like this book if I can't know how the series ends.
Well, just don't read book 2 then, and then you'll be fine.
Well, I did
just,
read book 2.
Just leave it as
I read book 2 also.
Oh. I was like, just leave it as a standalone, but I guess that doesn't count since you read it.
I mean, I've forgotten enough about it that I'm not too upset. So I'm like, I'll just pretend it ended and that I liked it.
There you go.
I'm sure something really great happened.
Yeah, happily ever after.
Well, and sometimes you read the ending and you don't like the ending. So you have to pretend
exactly.
that it ended the way you
Yeah,
like
I've done that so many times. So.
Oh my gosh.
You're like, no, it actually ended like this. It was the perfect ending.
Everybody kissed. Everyone's happy. Nobody died.
Everyone's alive. Yeah.
I love how she went to kiss before died.
It's just priority.
That's my
That's the important
priority.
part. Yes. Yeah. You can tell we're romance authors, it's fine.
He makes me feel better about how slow I am. I was like, I'm putting out a hardcover of my book. It's been 2 years since book 1 came out, but it hasn't been 10 years, guys.
Yeah.
It hasn't been 10 years.
True.
And I am writing. Is he writing? Maybe.
You're working on that.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
So.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, well, so the most beautiful book that I own is probably the most Valia answer ever, but it's the Hamilton hard edition of like how the show was created and like the history behind everything, and has like beautiful pictures inside from the show, and it has like all the like there's some annotated scripts and like all this backstage and behind the scenes stuff, and like the cover is beautiful. Looks like one of those old books that you like special edition that you find on the shelf, with like the really fancy spine and everything. And my parents got it for me when I came back from New York, and it was just like sat on my shelf and just stared at me. And I love it a lot. And then the other one that I was going to mention is my copy of P.S. I Love You. It's like the most simple cover ever. It's red, and it just has the title in the middle and has these little hearts like bursting away from it. But it's what is that? it's kind of like cloth for hardcover.
Oh,
Like it doesn't
yeah,
have
the
a
cloth
dust
bound.
jacket. But it just has the cloth bound with no dust jacket, and it has the little, what is it called? Like the special bookmark
Oh, like the ribbon?
that it comes with
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
The ribbon, there you go. And then the back, it just has like a little quote too. And
Pretty.
so it's just like really simple.
And it's
Yes.
metallic, the
Yes.
hearts are and everything. So
Yeah,
pretty.
and I found it in a bookstore in Dublin. So
Oh,
it was just like
cool.
one of the coolest
Aw.
things. I'm like, I'm gonna purchase this, and it's so beautiful. And it stood out so much against all the other books there, just because of how it was made and put together. I was like, oh, it's beautiful. So yeah, those are my two books, I guess. I guess. No, it's so hard to
They
pick.
are
They
beautiful.
are.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is.
But it is hard to pick because there are just so many beautiful editions of books. And especially if you bring in like the artwork that goes inside of them too.
And I feel like a lot of us there's a meaning behind it
Mhm.
too, which makes it,
Just more beautiful.
that changes. Yeah.
Okay, so this one I guess, is it the same answer? Because for me, it's a different answer. But what is your favorite book that you own that's like...
That, like, if you could grab one book in a fire.
I mean, no,
run
probably
out
not,
with it.
because I would pick a different book for that.
You would let
but-
your favorite book burn in a fire?
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
Well, what book would you grab in a fire? Now I'm curious about
I
that.
probably wouldn't grab a book. I would grab my cat.
okay.
Like,
Well, no,
Okay,
like
so
you
there we
have
go.
your cat, obviously, and any family
say
members
everything's
and your
safe,
photo
and you have-
albums.
You have the chance to buy one, not buy,
Grab one book.
grab one book,
grab one.
and everything else is safe that you want to have safe.
Oh,
But you only have time to save one book. What would be the book?
it's gonna be like a weird question because this book is probably gonna like disappear from existence before a fire would get to it because it's old. But it's my
It's gonna
collection.
turn into dust.
Yeah, it's like it's at that point. But it's my collection of the Jules Verne's 4 short stories
Okay.
from
Oh,
Russia.
cool.
Aw.
Because it's like I can't find it anywhere. I like
Oh,
try
that's
to find a
cool.
replacement for it because the pages are just coming out at this point. And I just like I don't know. I'm just like so sad because this book will probably just crumble one of these days. But I can't find it anywhere, and I can't find most of the stories either. Like I found one story and it's like $50 as a Kindle, and I don't want it as a Kindle. I want I want it as an actual book. But I guess like those stories weren't what is it called? Translated into English. They were translated into Russian, obviously, but apparently they just didn't make it over here, or they're buried in some collection that I've never been able to find. I don't know. So it's like my lifelong quest is to find me an English version of that. Anyway, that would be the book that I would grab.
Oh, that's so cool. That is such a cool story.
Okay, yeah. So I guess I don't know, but I will share a different book. But Kay, what book would you? What's your most favorite book that you own?
So, I don't know. This was really hard for me to think of an answer because I think it's just the pressure of your favorite, right? It's just like there's so many that I love. Right. Cinder, obviously, you know. But then I also have like Pride and Prejudice and Jane Eyre, and I haven't read those books in years, but they're just, they're just my favorite still, even though whatever. So, but I actually do have this one book that is, it's just a children's book about like some cute little story about like be yourself or whatever. Children's book.
Be yourself.
And my mom gave it to me when I was 12. And she wrote in it. She wrote a little note, and it's just like so my mom. Everything that it says. So I actually the other day, it's so funny because I always like forget that I have it, and then I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened to that book. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's right here. I have it still. So it's like I try really hard to not have a bunch of sentimental things because otherwise I just keep everything.
Yeah.
So, so I get rid of a lot of things. Otherwise I keep everything. So I think that's kind of where I get that idea that I've gotten rid of it. Although I don't know why I ever would have gotten rid of it. But
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, luckily I do still have it. So that one's probably, and obviously the special meaning, my mom died only a few months after that, so it's obviously pretty
Yeah.
special to me to have those words. But anyway, sorry, that was darker than we expected to get with a podcast.
Yeah.
It's just meaningful.
Anyway.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like that's what it is. That's kind of where I was going with this question too. It's not like that it's your favorite read or your favorite cover or whatever, but it's something that like it's your favorite because it brings that special like memory or whatever to you. So I love that. Hanna.
Yeah, I was going similarly, like not my favorite read. I figure like it is what I would grab in a fire because most of the books on my shelf I could just rebuy.
Right.
Off Amazon. So it's like, what, like, does the physical book have any meaning? And I do collect vintage books. I, like, don't do it on purpose. They're just so pretty. And then they want to come home with me. So I have like my shelf of like my pretty vintage books and like random multiple editions of things with pretty spines, and I keep like I just sneak them in when my husband isn't looking because I don't actually know how he feels about these books just multiplying all the time. I'm like, we always had 3 editions of the Water Babies, you know, like totally normal. But when I was a kid, I can't remember how old. I want to say like 10 to 12-ish, I got into reading the Wizard of Oz books. Some people do not know that there are a lot of them. I can't actually remember how many. At least 12 books in this series. And I just love them. Like, something about the storytelling. You know, like, you have those series that just, like, the world and everything about it just gives you that, like, tingly feeling. Of, like...
They're so magical. They really are.
And just, like, something about them.
Whimsical.
Yes,
They're so whimsical. That's the word.
And I just loved them. And the illustrations in them, like, most of them are illustrated by John R. Neal. And this is right around the turn of the last century, and we're going history again. This is when printing changed completely. Like the way they printed changed. Before that, everything was like on etched plates, and you couldn't get like fine line work for illustrations printed. Everything was like that really thick kind of block cut stuff that you've seen. And then I can't actually remember how they did it after that, but they changed it, and so you could have like every little pen mark showing in an illustration. So it was kind of a golden age of illustration, and John R. Neal did amazing work. And when I was a kid, I just looked at them and I was like, that is what I want to draw like when I grow up. Like, this is so pretty. So, but they're really, really hard to find. I don't actually know if there is a collection of the full Wizard of Oz in print right now. I've been looking with the original illustrations. It's almost impossible to find. Like, everyone reprints the first book because that's like the classic, and most people don't even know there's more. But to find them all is incredibly hard, unless you want to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars in eBay, which I cannot do. So I've been collecting them over the years when I find them, but they're mostly like really crappy paperbacks. And I have one copy of the Emerald City of Oz, and I don't even know how old it is because it's before they put publishing dates in them.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't have a dust jacket, and I don't know if it did have a dust jacket. But it has the most beautiful, beautiful end papers. It has Dorothy and Ozma. And Ozma, if you've ever, like, known these, she's got, like, these beautiful Art Nouveau, like, poppy headdress thing. And it's so pretty. And then it has the illustrations all throughout. And it's not in perfect condition as a book, but all... There's so many different printings of these books. And most of them, the illustration lines are, like, thick and muddled and cheaply done. And this one is crisp and beautiful. And I found it in an antique shop before Christmas one year, and I told my husband to buy it for me for Christmas, and he was like, "You want this?" I was like, "Please buy me that book." Aww. I'm like, or these earrings or whatever, but like mostly this book. So then he did, because he is a good listener, and I love it. And I wish I had all 12 in the same shape, but I do not. So I just like have this one, and I pet it sometimes and take it out and look at the end papers. And now I'm a grown up, and I'm like, I'll never draw as well as John or Neil, but that's okay. And yeah, that's my story.
I love that.
That's so cool.
That's also such a Hanna answer too.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know. I love that though. It's so you. Tess, what about you?
So I've honestly told this exact story already, so I'll just repeat it, but very quickly. But
it's the tale of Atrix Wolf.
Yeah, that's always my answer. I try to think of another one, and there just really isn't one. I'm not like super sentimental about things that much. And I have gotten rid of every single book that I've owned before a certain time with like very little like regret. And so I've started.
The thought gives me chills.
Yeah, I mean, and I just started collecting books all over again because I used to buy a lot of books at like secondhand stores, and so they're of the like not the best quality. So it's really easy for me to get rid of them. But now that like with Bookstagram, I actually want to collect books and take pictures of them, and I want to collect some books. But so. Long story short, I just don't have a lot of books that I'm like really attached to that like I couldn't just get again. But this one is the only one that actually has a meaning attached to it. And I told it before. Okay, so y'all already know, because I like this book as much as Kay likes Cinder, is the book of Atrix Wolf by Patricia A. McKillop, which has like my favorite cover that like made me obsessed. And like Hanna, I said when I grow up, I'm gonna paint that pretty, and now that I'm grown up, I'm like, I ain't ever gonna paint that pretty, but I'm happy with what I can do.
Is it a Kanuko craft one?
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't do that. That's not my level. I don't think it'd ever be, but I'm okay with what I do. Anyways, being happy with what you got and the talents that you already have. So I told my husband before he was my husband, before he was even my boyfriend, and we were just friends working at Trader Joe's, being coworkers and just, playing it cool. Like, oh, you want to go, get some ice cream with me? We're both vegan. Let's have some vegan ice cream. And like trying to play it cool. Like we don't actually really like each other. We're just friends. And I told him what my favorite book is. He's also kind of a nerd like me. And I told him that one of my friends borrowed it and like never gave it back. And on my birthday, I had invited him to my birthday, and it was kind of a big deal because I didn't have like a date, and it was kind of like the only other people there was this close circle of friends. And after the dinner, he like handed me this like stupid scarf, and I unwrapped the scarf, and it was his scarf. He gave it to me, so it was actually cute. But inside the scarf was
like how you called it a stupid scarf, and then
you're like, what's this scarf about?
Yeah, because at first glance it's like, why'd you give me a scarf? What the heck? And then it was like, oh, he gave it to me because he's sweet and weird. And then inside is the book of Atrix Wolf, and he said, oh, I read this. And so he read my favorite book, and that was the moment I was like, I think he might like me. And then like really
maybe he might be my soulmate.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like more than like what some guy who just wants to go get vegan ice cream with you and go to your birthday dinner. Like, I think that's like a little more than that, because who reads your favorite book and then like buys it for you because you told them that you like don't have a copy anymore? So it's super heartwarming. And of course I like shortly read it afterward. I'm like, oh, my husband read this, he was like so sweet. But yeah, he became my boyfriend like pretty quick after that, and now we're married, and it's like pretty nostalgic for me to just look at it and be like, oh, that nerd, he was so sweet. I'm like talking so rudely about him because he's actually sitting in front of me right now, and it's like really embarrassing to like talk sweet, so I have to kind of talk like,
gotta like play it cool.
I gotta kind of be cool
him
because
and his stupid scarf.
Yeah, we gotta still keep things like pretty interesting. I can't let him think that he, has my heart. Like, I'm not that mushy about it. No.
We know how much you gush over him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you cannot lie
I talk
to
about
us.
him way too much. But anyways, was literally like the sweetest thing ever, and it still makes me swoon, and it's so cute.
I love that story. I'm never tired of hearing it.
And I know
it's
I said
so
I was going to
cute.
tell it real quick, but I think I just like went into more detail than I ever did last time. But there you go.
There you go. It's even better.
I love that. It's like even better that you don't have the original copy, because the one that he bought is like so much better. So your friend was doing you a favor by
I honestly don't even remember what friend has it. I just know that I gave it to somebody. Whoever you are, I know what you did, and you.
I still remember the friend that lost one of my favorite books.
You're so weird.
Like, I'm still bitter. 25 years later, still bitter.
My favorite books do not leave my house. If I do want somebody to read a book, I have like a paperback copy that I buy.
You have your like extra book.
The
The
borrowing
borrowing
book.
book. Yeah, because a lot
Valia's
of
lending
my
library.
yes, no, a lot of okay. I'm gonna that reminds me. I'm gonna tell you like a side story really fast because I that just made me think of it. So when I was young and first like started reading books in English, right? We had a lot of like I don't know where we got them from actually. I don't remember if it was like a sale or something, but my dad got me like a whole thing of those really thin like Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys and like the Sweet Valley High, like all of those books, right? And so one of my brothers like always wanted to borrow my books, and I'm like, "Ugh, no, because I just don't trust you. Like this, it just I'm always known not to trust people with books, right? So I literally made a system. I put little tiny pieces of paper and I taped them to the bottom, and I had like a little number and a little letter to them.
Oh my gosh.
And I had a shelf.
You made your own library system?
Yes.
I love this.
I like put it out and I was like, you can come into my room, you can check out a book or two, no more than two, and then you have to return before. And I like made a note of everything. And so
This is the best.
I love it.
so you're like lending library. I was like, yes, actually.
That is so
That is
But-
funny.
Yeah, that made me think of that. That's hilarious.
But it sounds like it worked. They brought the books
They
back.
did, and then after a while, he just got tired of me being so crazy about it, and he stopped borrowing, and that was
He
even
got his
better.
own books.
There you go. Win-win.
That's what I wanted
Yes.
all along.
Yep, exactly.
That is too
No, but a
funny.
lot of my books are signed. You know, like the books that I get that are like mean something to me or my favorite. Like I try to get them signed. So I'm like, I'm not gonna give that away. I mean, I'm sorry. Like no, I don't
Yeah.
trust you guys to like give this back. So if I do have like a book that I absolutely want somebody to read, I'll usually get like the paperback of it, because most of the time I like the cover change they do for paperbacks too. So it's like I do want it on my shelf because I love the book so much, but also like I will be more willing to let you read it if it's not the signed
Yeah.
copy. So it's kind of like a win-win too. But anyway, weird.
I don't have signed ones, but I do lend people hardcovers without the dust jacket.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm just gonna
Oh,
keep this
smart.
here so that neither of us will feel bad if you
Yeah,
squish a
smart.
corner.
Yeah, true.
I have to say, as an author, there is also, talking about our favorite books that we own, there is something just so special about seeing a book that you've written in.
Yes.
You know?
It is so
it
magical.
feels so much more
Still-
real when I hold my
It
book.
does. I still just remember the first time. I mean, I get all my books in print, obviously, but that first book, the first time holding it and just like seeing these words that I had only seen on the computer and like holding it in my hands in a book is just surreal, And it's still, even though I've published a lot of books since then, it's still just like there's just something so special about seeing it and you're like, it's a real book.
Yeah.
I made a book.
Yes.
Yeah, so I do love my own books, which I don't know, maybe that's conceited.
It is
but-
not
Oh,
conceited.
you should love
We
them.
better
It's
love our
your
books.
art. If
Yeah.
you don't love it, you should work a little harder at it. I
Not
think.
publish
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. I do love that. I mean, you guys saw my little crying meltdown when I got my hardback for the first time, because that was like a
Yes.
huge dream come true for me, something that I never thought was going to be possible on my own, which I know it sounds so funny because like you guys like, yeah, like we had hardcovers, like it's possible, you can do it, like we knew. But for me, just because this book, like this series was such a big deal for me because it was my Russian series and it was something that was so important to me, and then finally I was like, I'm gonna do it as a hardcover, like, oh, and I can do it cool, and I can have my map on 2 pages like a professional. Like, I don't know. It's just like those little things that even though I've seen this book in print before, and I've had it, even with the new covers in print, it was still just like the biggest deal to me. It still is. I still like pick it up and stare at it, and I'm just like, you're so beautiful.
I love you,
It
book.
really is
Yes.
beautiful, I have to say.
Yeah, I love it. Anyway, okay, so I was gonna mention the book that is like my favorite book that I own really fast. So this one doesn't have.
No, you must do it really slow.
No, it's not happening. Okay, because I get excited and I talk fast. So this book is like the weirdest book that I love so much. I remember, so when we had a Borders right next to our house, and that's where I actually like wrote the majority of my like first young adult book that will never see the light of day. But I remember like having like my friends meet me there and stuff like that, and I'm like, let me show you this book, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And so it is it's called a Griffin and Sabine, and it like is one of those small square picture books. That's what they look like. But when you open it, it's this love story between these two people, and it's told in postcards and letters, and you actually have like the envelopes that you open to pull out the letters to read them. Aww. And all the postcards have like this really pretty artwork on it and stuff like that. And so that's like the whole thing. And there's like, it's not there's 2 more books I think that like follow the stories and stuff, and I have them. I have all 3. But it was just like such a cool thing because I've never before outside of a kids book have seen an interactive book tell a story like that, and it had like nothing extra. It was just the stories back and forth between these 2 people. And so it's one of those things that I like would be like, this is the coolest thing ever, and I would like show people. And then finally like Barnes Noble got in enough that, or not Barnes Noble, but Borders got in enough that I could like buy all 3 of them, and I have them and I love them and they're really cool. That's it.
That's a fun idea.
That's
yeah,
so
that is
cool.
awesome.
And I love the books that have those illustrations too, especially when they're for adults or young adults, you know, because yeah, like you said, that's so common with kids' books, and even with middle grade, like I guess they're more graphic novels usually when they're middle grade, but it is just more common to have illustrations. But like what was it? The How the King of Elfhame learned to hate
that's
stories,
on my list,
you know?
too, of my prettiest books
With the Cruel Prince.
that I haven't read yet.
It is.
But it's
so
pretty.
And it's just so cool, the illustrations, and it's just like, you almost don't care what the story is at all, you just want the illustration.
I mean, that's what I just like flipped through it and like looked at each page and didn't read it. So, one of these days, guys, I will read this book.
Anyway, I just love those.
And I am still a little jealous of traditionally published books because they can do full color, full book. I mean, I technically could, but I don't know how much that would cost. It would be so much money.
Yeah, it would be like $100.
Everyone would be like, that's cool, Hanna.
They're like, you know, we're
Nobody's
not
buying this.
No, they probably would. Your illustrations are awesome.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know if it's, worth $100 a book, but.
Yes. Anyway, I love that. I thought this was gonna be like one of those super fast question of the days, but then we got like all gushy. I know.
I know.
I don't
know. This is not the group for the quick answers.
True. That's true. But anyway, I loved it. It was really cool, and I don't know. I think that questions like these really show, like even to me, like I can see you guys' love for books. Just even outside of, because like I know you love books, I know you write them, you write amazing books, and I can see your love in that. But just like talking about books like that just shows your love for it.
Well, and it's cool to talk about books that have such a deep meaning for us. You know, we all talked about things that were more than just the average book, so it was cool.
I loved it. Okay, so in the next episode we're going to dive into one of our trope discussions. As always, this is how it works. Each of us will pick a different book to read this week, all following the same theme, and then we reveal it next week and talk about it. If you'd like to guess what it is, tell us on Instagram at Reading Queens Pod, under like today's graphic or something. Just guess. Okay, I need you to guess because
please guess.
I want to know if you can guess. That's it. Anyway,
you will get bragging rights if you are right.
This one
might
be really easy too.
I know. I think it's a very guessable one.
If you were ever going to guess, this is the time to do it.
All right, so let's go around the room and tell the listeners what we're reading. I can't talk. Okay.
I'll be reading The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine.
Okay, Hanna.
I'm reading Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston.
Okay, Tess.
I'm reading House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig.
Okay, and I will be reading The Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. Yeah, I'm very excited about this topic.
Me too.
I can't wait to talk about
And
that.
I haven't read any
It's
of
going
your
to
guys'.
be the best
So
ever.
I'm excited to hear
I haven't
about
read
them.
the
Any
other
of-
ones
oh,
either.
of the books
Yeah,
that
of
we're
your guys'
reading?
3. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll be cool. All right, yeah, if you ever want to read any of these books along with us, just tag us on Instagram with Reading Queens Pod, and we'll talk about these books afterwards with you because we're excited to read them. Anyway, I'm looking forward to next week. But yeah, thank you for listening to the Reading Queens. Before you go, please take a moment to leave us a review and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. And then stay tuned for next week. Happy reading. Bye.
Bye.